Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. God has given us unlimited treasures in His Word. Every time we open it, we can discover a new treasure or admire an old one. What will we find today? Let's dig in. Here's Carla Early with Treasure Hunt in the Word.
Satan's been around a long time. He knows when to attack and how to attack, and what buttons to push when. He can scare the bravest and strongest believer. But if we know his tactics, we can anticipate his moves and be ready for him. Fear is one of his most potent weapons. If he can make us fear, half his battle is won, maybe more than half. This was true in two of the strongest Old Testament men, David and Elijah. Remember how David and his men hid from Saul in different places throughout Israel? And Saul seemed like he had nothing better to do than to hunt him down. 1 Samuel 23:14 says, Saul sought him every day, but God did not deliver him into his hand. Later in that chapter, Saul and his men came close to finding David, but they had to drop the search when the Philistines invaded the land. In the next chapter, Saul brought 3,000 men to find David, and Saul just happened to choose the cave David was in to go to the bathroom. David spared him that day. He spared Saul a second time as Saul and those 3,000 men slept out in the open. You'd think David would get the idea that God was protecting him. But in the back of his mind, he kept hearing the thought, someday Saul's gonna get you. As he entertained that thought, it got louder and more insistent. The enemy finally won, as David decided his best option was to pack up and flee to the land of the Philistines. And not just any town, Gath, the town Goliath was from. Sure enough, Saul stopped chasing him. But for the next year and 4 months, David lived a double life of deception. In 1 Kings 18, Elijah had just returned from 3.5 years of hiding, being miraculously cared for by God at every turn. We marvel at his boldness as he challenges the 450 prophets of Baal to a showdown on the top of Mount Carmel. God rains fire from heaven, all the prophets of Baal get killed, and Elijah outruns a chariot in a 25-mile race. But as chapter 19 starts, we watch Elijah run probably just as fast to Beersheba to get away from Jezebel the queen when she threatened him. He didn't think or consult God about it. He just fled. In the next scene, he's sitting alone under a tree in the wilderness, asking God to let him die. 450 prophets have been idle. Didn't scare him, but that woman Jezebel sure did. Do you see how the enemy got into his head and caused him to fear? Both Satan and Jezebel wanted Elijah out of the way so they could do whatever they liked. They couldn't kill him because God's hand was on him, so they tried scare tactics, and their scare tactics worked. If you think about it, Jezebel could have just as easily sent an assassin to kill Elijah, but instead she sent a messenger with a threat. In both cases, with Elijah and David, God had already proven himself over and above enough to protect these men. Yet fear of an earthly king and queen sent them running. Their fear of people suddenly trumped their fear of God. Who or what do you fear? Do you fear God more, or do your fears paralyze you or cause you to run? Think about this, though. Is your God greater than your fears?
You can contact us at treasurehuntintheword@gmail.com. We'd love to hear the treasures God has given you through His Word. You can listen to other episodes at our website, which you can find in the description below. Thanks for listening, and remember, where your treasure is, there will your heart be also.